Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. We have seen some big changes to the college basketball world with the transfer portal and NIL initiatives growing every day. Now we're talking about expanding the tournament. And we've also seen a mass exodus of coaches who just didn't want to embrace the new era of hoops, and some still speaking out before it gets too out of control. Arkansas head coach John Calipari joining our John Rothstein on his podcast and discuss why the current trend in college sports may not work. There's one of his quotes on your screen. We want you to listen in on how he felt about those changes.
Biggest issue we have is the transfer portal. Everybody wanted to worry about money, and I'll give you a couple things. I think kids should be able to transfer. They should. But you can't transfer 4 times, and each time you're transferring to make money. Or you ready for this one? You redshirt, take the money, and then leave. You can't. We got to get our arms around this.
Just some of what Coach Cal had to say, and joining us now is college basketball insider Matt Norlander to sort of peel back the curtain on all these changes that we're talking about when it comes to college basketball. Matt, we know that Coach Cal has not been shy in talking about the transfer portal and all of these changes. He's been pretty open to, what it's meant for his teams and going forward. But what did you make of what he had to say in regards to all of the things going on in college basketball right now?
Well, he's another college basketball coach. And as we speak right now, by the way, Calipari is on the ground recruiting, I would presume, at the Nike Peach Jam, which is ongoing this week and wraps this weekend here. So the recruiting element of this is still a major part of how you roster build, but the portal is how you build up. And players have the right to transfer. What he is saying is, all right, you transfer once, you don't sit, that's fine. But if you want to do it a second time, you should have to sit. I'm not going to say that won't happen, but we're not there now, and the idea that we're going to roll back the rights of college athletes just doesn't seem like something that's in the future. The only way that you get there is if you can figure out a way to have a player sign a binding contract, like a truly binding contract, to play for you for at least 2 seasons and promise not to transfer through a written contract. Or the other way, which is going to take years and years and probably more than a decade, and that's for it to be collectively bargained on behalf of a players' union in college and in schools and conferences. So it's a major point of frustration. I get that. I get what John is saying here. I don't even deny it. But if the player wants to play 1 year at college and go to another place and go to another place, I'm not saying it's a good thing for college basketball. I don't think it's a good thing for college basketball. But players have been empowered to make these decisions. These things have been taken to court, and schools and the NCAA have lost in it, and judges and arbitrators over the past, decade essentially, but more specifically since we got out of COVID, have ruled in favor of college athletes who should be empowered to be able to play where they want to play, how they want to play. And if in the it's not like they get to do this without any drawbacks. The drawback to this, though, by the way, is every time you transfer schools, your credits don't transfer over. So it makes the objective of actually graduating from college that much more difficult. And that stems to another issue. I won't belabor the point here, but I actually was talking with Tom Izzo about this very thing last week in North Augusta, South Carolina at Nike's EYBL tournament, because Izzo is still bothered by the idea that players can transfer 3 or 4 times. And when they do that, they are limiting their ability to graduate on a 4 or 5 year timeline.
It's something that Coach Cal talked about as well with the transfer portal and all of the extra years of eligibility, is that it makes it hard mentally for the players that you have on your roster, because you've got, like potentially 17, 18-year-old kids trying to come in here and compete for playing time against guys who are 28, who have been at 3 different schools prior. I see both sides of the coin here. I'm curious also, Matt, how this is impacting recruiting from the high school standpoint, because I can imagine if you're a top high school player, right, you've been on the recruiting trail for the last week or so, and these high school players are trying to figure out where they fit in when your rosters are built on the backs of the transfer portal now. So how has the high school recruiting process been impacted by all of this?
It has been. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I have a piece up right now at CBSSports.com, and on the CBS Sports app, I talked to coaches about just what does it mean to recruit a player in high school in the year 2025? What's the value there? There obviously still is value. I mean, there are thousands of incoming freshmen every year in college. These players are playing in college basketball. It's just how much is their value in their first or second season of college overall versus what the portal is now. There is an important note here, Haley, to consider, though. This is the first year in 4 years where we don't have the COVID bonus year. So that Calipari line that he used with Rothstein, it's time to retire that. There were never any 28-year-olds. But basically what he was getting at with that was that we had these COVID bonus years and we had 24 and 25-year-olds. It's not like there were 300 of them, but there's certainly some older players that were still in college as a result of getting the bonus year in COVID. That's now gone. So now we're back on the traditional timeline of you get 5 years to play 4 seasons in college basketball. And the average high school recruit right now doesn't carry the same amount of value overall because players who have been able to go into the portal and be 20, 21, and sometimes 22 years old, this is outside of your top 30 recruits. Those players are seen as more valuable, and so if you're a high school player, it's become more crucial than ever, in my estimation, to be able to pick a school that truly will be the right fit for you, where you understand what your role will be immediately. But I don't think it's deniable, and I draw this from conversations with a number of high major coaches and mid-major coaches I spoke to last week on the trail. The average value of a high school rising junior or senior right now in 2025 versus what it was in 2018, 2019, it's significantly less, and the transfer portal is the reason why.
So if you are one of those high school guys, let's say you're getting ready to compete in the upcoming Peach Jam or whatever event it is, what's the mentality? What's the focus for you there? Are you just trying to get on the radar, or are you just trying to get to a spot? Because I know you said you want to get to a place where you understand your role, but mentally for guys, that's got to be difficult.
I think a lot of players, if you don't have 5 stars next to your name at 247 Sports' rankings, and even some that do have 5 stars next to their name, you need to be prepared for the fact that for the majority of these kind of players, while you've been a focal point as a 15, 16, 17-year-old high school player on your high school team, your prep team, sometimes your grassroots team like the teams that play at Nike EYBL or on the Adidas circuit or Under Armour circuit, or heck, there's even a Puma circuit now. Those players need to brace for the reality that when they get to college, with some exceptions, we're going to see AJ DeBanza and Cameron Boozer be freshman stars, probably All-Americans next season, Haley. But the overwhelming majority of incoming freshmen, they're just not going to have, for the most part, the kind of playing time and impact that on balance, on average, we might have seen in college basketball 7, 8 years ago. And in some respects, this is a bit of a retro, of a throwback to how it used to be in college basketball for a long time, where you kind of had to earn your keep. Freshman, you come in, you have, minimal impact, and then as a sophomore, junior, and senior, you grow into your role. That's still the case a lot of the time in college basketball, but now we see, whereas it wasn't this way in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, those impactful roles are being found with transfers who go into the portal, and in the process of doing so, also are seeking hearty paydays along the way.
Lots of changes for sure when it comes to recruiting. I do want to go back to Coach Cal for a minute, though, Matt, because he did also in that conversation with Rothstein talk about his future in coaching, maybe teasing the retirement. We want you to take a listen here and give us your thoughts.
If I can't impact kids, this will be my last year. If I can't, what I mean by that is we got to get these rules in check so coaches still coach and still impact young people, not have them leave every year. And I would tell you that I've said it to friends of mine. I'm still, if you come in and watch us practice, you can see how locked in they are to me and the staff. Well, then I'll keep going because I think I can still help kids. If it is because of NIL, the transfer portal and stuff like that, where they don't, you're not, why would I still do this?
So kind of a different approach, Matt, to what we saw, the year before, and even the first year when NIL first got popular. Coaches were like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. Coach Cal instead embracing that. But what do you think? Like, how close are we to the end of this legacy that has been Coach Calipari?
John Calipari will not be retiring in the next year. It's not going to happen. I just saw him on the trail. You saw him there on the video. He shed some real weight. He's looking really good. He's looking vital. And I understand, like,
Looking vital.
Never say never, but I put this at sub 5%, sub 3%. It's a second year at Arkansas. They're going to have a solid team. I guess if it was a disaster and they didn't make the tournament, there'd be some real heat there. He just got there. So I don't foresee a situation in which what he was posing there actually comes to be. John Calipari will not be retiring after 2 seasons in Arkansas. To the broader picture, if you told me that his entire tenure with the Razorbacks lasted 5 years or fewer, that I would absolutely believe. I think that's possible there. Obviously, he's in the winter of his career, but he left the Kentucky job. He got a new lease on life in the SEC. It's going to be still a plenty tough challenge here. But no, I think he will remain one of the game's premier voices, faces, elder statesmen, and we can look forward to sound bites from John Calipari into 2026, 2027, and maybe even beyond.
Just looking vital out there. Matt Norlander, we appreciate the time. We know you have been so busy. Enjoy your upcoming vacations, and we know college basketball season will be here before you know it. Make sure you get up to date with the latest news with our Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. The crew has been out on the recruiting trail, as you just heard Norlander talk about. They dish all the info on their podcast. You can scan that QR code right now to listen to the latest episode.